Bill Reese, and welcome to BoxLang Essentials. In today's video, getting BoxLang set up using CommandBox, I'll show you how easy it is to use this method to get up and running with BoxLang. CommandBox is great if you're building an enterprise web app or if you're already using it. BoxLang and CommandBox is a fully featured version that's portable and easy to stay modularized. So let's get set up. So first thing we can do here is we're going to go and make sure we have our BoxLang extension installed in VS Code, and highly recommend you install the CFLin if you're going to be doing any ColdFusion code in there as well. So we can do a search for there and install the latest version. Next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have BoxLang installed. We have great documentation here on how to do that. You can pick your flavor on Windows or Mac and get up and running. So once we've installed BoxLang, we're going to make sure that we're up and running with that. So we're going to do our version command here. Everything looks good. So now we're going to get CommandBox up and running. So we're going to install CommandBox. Once CommandBox is installed, we're going to want to create a folder for us to use in our application here. And once we go to that folder, we can create some files. So first thing we're going to do once we have the folder is we're going to use CommandBox to install BoxLang for CommandBox. Great, so that's done. So I'm going to walk through some of the files that are needed to get our BoxLang application up and running. So first file I want to call out is server.json. So server.json has a lot of settings. We can define that it's a BoxLang application. We can set things like our debug settings so we can run debugger. We can set the Java version, and we can also install our modules and any other ForgeBox modules that we have. So what we're going to do is use the install method, and this is going to install multiple modules, and we'll go into that in a second. If we want to disable directory browsing, and if we also want to enable rewrites. Next, we want to talk about the box.json. So this is where we're going to use that install command here. That's going to go in and it's going to look at our dependencies, and we're going to install some dependencies. So one of the dependencies that I had asked for is the Microsoft SQL module. And then we're going to use a cfconfig.json file. What we're going to use with this is it's a great way to set up our debugging. We can also set up a default data source and define our data sources in our application. And this will translate down to the other parts of the application. So the first thing I want to show you is a really cool method that we can use to debug and make sure we have everything up and running. So I have this file here, which is a BXS file, which is a script file in BoxLang. And we're doing just something very simple. We're going to write a dump of an array, and then I have a couple variables here that can help us in debugging. So I'm going to dump our application metadata, and then the server BoxLang and the system server. What that enables me to do is make sure that any settings that I feel are set up actually are, and I can also make sure my modules are set up and everything looks great. You can also do this in the command line as well. And there's our debug statement in the command line. So now that we have error handling set up by default, let's take a look at what that looks like. That's our standard BoxLang error page. So now we're going to see what it looks like in debug mode. So we're going to go over here and start our server in debug mode. We have a lot more information that comes over, and when we run our error page now, we get a lot more information about the error. Now let's say we want to edit that and not use the one that comes with BoxLang. Then we're going to go to our application.bx file, and we are going to put an onError function, and whatever we put in that onError function will become our error handler. So now let's take a look at a ColdFusion file running in BoxLang. We have a ColdFusion file that actually calls a BoxLang class that we have loaded right here, and we're going to output that in ColdFusion. So what does that look like? I'm going to go right here, and we're running ColdFusion code inside of BoxLang. How cool is that? Now, one thing I want to talk about is URL rewrites. So if we have this enabled, you can disable it or enable it. You're going to want to set up a config file. Now you do have the default reference right here under your CommandBox CFML system config folder. You can grab this and then you can modify it, which is what we're going to do right here. So we're going to grab the config file here and we're going to make some modifications to it. So the modifications that we want to make are, we're going to change some files from ColdFusion to BoxLang, and we're going to set up a default rule to change anything as a page variable to our main page. You can do a lot of different configs here. Check out the docs to get an idea of what's possible. For now, we're going to keep it pretty basic and see what that looks like. And now we're passing in our friendly URL. So that's what it takes to get up and running with BoxLang and CommandBox. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please reach out, and hope you have a great day.